I think a lot of these people have developed their image themselves from who they've been listening to growing up, what their social circle listens to, and who's had success in the charts in a similar vein.
How long do you think Beatlemania will last?
As long as you all keep coming.
I love them. I don't care what anybody thinks. I love the Beatles for them, and I'll always love them. Even when I'm 105 and an old grandmother, I'll love them. And Paul McCartney, if you are listening. Adrienne from Brooklyn loves you with all her heart. I love you, Paul, and please come to the window so I can just see you. I saw you smoking before, and I kissed the limousine you looked out of. But I love you, and I want you, Paul. Please look at it. And Ringo, you can look at it, too, because I like you.
There have been huge crowds of teenage girls outside complaining that they don't want to mob you, they just want to speak to you. What do you think about this? Do you want to talk to them?
Well, have you ever tried talking to about 200 people at once?
We'd love to, if we all wave and if somebody always says to stop that waving, you're inciting them.
When we talk about the male gaze, we often picture women being looked at through a lens designed for male desire. But what happens when the subject is a man? And not just any man, but a rock star. These musicians are constantly watched, photographed, mythologized, their bodies, their voices, their gestures, staged and consumed. So, if the male gaze constructs how we see women, what does it do when it turns inward onto men themselves? In 1975, Laura Mulvey coined the term the male gaze to describe how cinema often positions women as passive objects of visual pleasure, framed through a heterosexual male point of view. This theory quickly moved beyond film. It revealed something bigger, the way power, desire and identity are distributed through looking. But here's the twist. When we apply this to male rock musicians, we don't just see objectification, we see performance.
As soon as you have success with this one person, you get lots of variations on that theme. So in that sense, those artists coming forth with an image, with a look, are in a sort of copy and paste version of that thing which has created the scene. The more exciting people are the people who are at the front end of that wave, who are just, once you pop out on their own. My name's Danton Soppel. I'm a producer based in London here at Rack Studios, and I've been doing this now for 40 years. There are those which don't appear to be like a new change or a fashion or a look, because the effort is to look normal almost. So you go back on yourself, you come out, and by not looking like you're making an effort visually, you're just like the punk era. That of course had its aesthetic, but even bands now, it's almost an effort not to look like you're putting on a visual front. It's just all about the music. But because of that, you're successful, and then everyone wants to dress and look like you, and it becomes another fashion form. It's just kind of, they borrow from each other, I think, fashion and music, and there's a kind of loop between them.
From the start, male rock stars have played with persona. Whether it's rebellion, aloofness, mystery or sex appeal, it's rarely accidental. These identities are constructed, refined and often strategically ambiguous. Think about Bowie's shape-shifting, to even Alex Turner's switch from Sheffield lad to James Dean-inspired rock star. We praise authenticity in music, but what we're really seeing is a curated version of the self, one that's designed to attract, to mystify and to stay desirable. Sound becomes part of the image, a sultry vocal mix, a brooding bass line, an echo that makes the artist sound bigger than life. Behind the soundboard, decisions are being made, not just about music, but about who the person is.
I think the main difference is men don't feel objectified or realise they're being objectified, because that's always been something which has had normally a female subject matter, and they've grown up with that. So although they're going through exactly the same process, their record companies pushing a direction they're in. So they might have chosen a look, but then it'll be expanded or enhanced or exaggerated by the stylists that come with it. And then after that, I guess if you're having your look changed to kind of keep in with the genre, then you are being objectified in a certain way. You're being put into something which is based on your visual look. If you go back to the 70s, it's like everybody's in that mindset. You watch Top of the Pops from 1978, and every artist is so different. The music's so different because it wasn't being driven by the sort of power of radio in quite the same way. This business is basically based which side of the money factor on. When you're being given money, you don't have much power. As soon as you're making money, you have more power. It's a real transition point for artists, I think, where all of a sudden you can call the shots. But it's a hard place to get to.
Some artists are praised for their rawness, their edge, their cool, but those qualities are often just as constructed as a pop star's choreography. The male gaze allows them to appear effortlessly desirable while still holding the reins.
When you're watching bands or artists, a lot of people think that's the way they are, and that's the the image they grow up with, the style they grow up with. And then you have this byproduct of the magazines which show the person at home or leaving their house to go to the gym, and that becomes absorbs everybody because it's just not the thing you've created. It's just the person wearing their normal clothes, which in my world, because we're at work with people, is the world we see. They're very dressed down fashions. There are a few people, of course, who are constantly dressed up in some kind of way, because that is their way. But most of the time when I see people on stage, I find it quite amusing the way they're dressed, because it doesn't feel like them at all to me, because I see them in work clothes. So there's quite a difference.
In the world of male rock musicians, the gaze may seem flattering, but it still distorts. Desire, identity, and power are performed, rehearsed, and amplified, and somewhere behind the distortion pedal and the eyeliner is a person, or at least the idea of one.